Hello there, welcome back to the channel. It's been a while since I've been on here, so I feel like I should reintroduce myself to anyone who's new. My name is Natasha, and my husband and I live with our son on a farm in a barn suite, and we just love it. And I love making YouTube content because I am a creator and an artist. I studied in Toronto for photography in the arts as well as some film experience, and so I really enjoy putting together film content as well as photography, but that's not really in this jam here on YouTube. Maybe one day it will be. Recently we had a baby, and so I have been home. I am now a homemaker and totally throwing myself into this wonderful occupation of caring for our son, caring for our home, caring for my husband in a totally different way than I was before, and loving it. Today I'm going to be making some baby food for our son because we will be traveling this weekend and we'll be on the road, and it's just nice to have real good food packed in so that our temptation to buy food is minimized. And as well, we want our son to be eating good food. So I'm going to be making some egg bites and then some other kind of food purees that we can take with us, and I'm sure there will be leftovers that I can freeze. I'd like to make some granola bars and some energy balls. Those are nice little snacks that we can eat along the way. So why don't you join me for the fun? Let's get making a whole bunch of stuff in the kitchen. We'll see how far we get. Our son is sleeping right now, so we'll see how long this nap lasts. Now I'm gonna start with the things that need to go in the oven so they can get roasting. For the baby food, I'm gonna be roasting a pumpkin and some carrots, and then I'm also gonna roast some walnuts for my granola bars and energy balls. Almost forgot to grind my walnuts first. You probably could roast just the walnuts like this, but I do want it to go a little quicker, so I'm going to grind my walnuts first just by smashing it with this rolling pin, and then I'm going to roast them in the oven. What I found with walnuts and roasting them in the oven is that you just don't want to stack too many on top of one another. You want to get it out as evenly as possible, so that's why I've got two pans going here. I have done them too much too, and then they have kind of a burny taste, so just keep an eye on them. I'm going to let them cool on my counter here and do another batch of some more nuts, because I figured if I'm gonna make energy balls and I'm going to make granola bars, I may as well have an arrangement of nuts just for some variety. The drying time for the nuts will depend on the density of the nuts. So obviously if it's a full nut, it'll take a bit longer. If it's halved or kind of thinner, more brittle, it'll go a bit quicker. So just keep an eye on it. I've got a variety of nuts going here, so maybe that's not a good idea to put it all in the pan, but I'm just getting a little bit of flavor by roasting it. I'm not trying to completely dry them out. Now, a big part of the baby foods is applesauce. So I bought a bag of baking apples on sale at our grocery store. So I'm going to peel these and quickly slice them all. And then I'm steaming some of this cauliflower, which is going to be part of the baby food, so I'm going to go ahead and let that get going so long. I'm undressing this cheese that we made last night. It sat overnight in this press, and I'm now going to let it sit on the counter for 2 days to age before we vacuum seal it and put it in the fridge. I salt the edges first before letting it sit on the counter, and we're probably going to have to bring this cheese with us this weekend because we have to flip it twice a day and we're not going to be here to do that. So I have been known to have traveling cheeses. So hello, traveling cheese. I've been known to have traveling cheeses, but what can you do? I'm going to watch the nuts very carefully, but the oats, I'm going to let that go for about 15 to 20 minutes. I can handle a little bit more in the oven. So I'm going to simmer some dates on the stove until they get soft, and then I'm going to add them to my food processor, pulse that until I get a kind of puree consistency, and then I'm going to add all of my granola ingredients, the oats, the nuts, the sunflower seeds, and the honey, and pulse all of that together in my food processor, and then lay it all flat in this little pan. It's great if you can have a square pan, like an 8x8 inch. I don't have mine right now, it's currently in use, so I'm just gonna substitute with this. I think this is 6x8, which is fine. It'll just be a little bit thicker. Once I have my mixture nice and flattened in the pan, I'm going to pop it into the freezer and let it harden for an hour, and then I can take it out and cut my squares for granola bars. Alright, now this next recipe comes from this book, Modern Lunch by Allison. Such a good book, highly recommend. She's got a chapter on power snacks in the end here, where she lists a couple of energy balls and bars you can make. I follow this recipe because sometimes it's hard to just know exactly how much of how much. Probably it takes some practice, and I'm still practicing, but I like her ratios between things, and it makes a really nice ball that, you know, we keep in the fridge and can grab anytime we want a quick little snack. So you can feel free to play with the recipe, and she also encourages this and lists all kinds of alternatives that you can do. I'm going to list the recipe for you in the description box below with some alternatives, and you can do whatever you like, but the main stuff is oats and walnuts, and then some dates, salt, and a little bit of nutmeg. So near the end here, I realized that I had more nuts, so I'm gonna triple this recipe instead of doubling it. So I'm just adding some more nuts and dates. So you can test this by checking if the mixture holds well together. Like it kind of does, but it's a bit flaky. So if you have that, just add a little bit more dates. That'll just, you know, give it a little bit more juice in there, or a little bit of honey. Just upping the sticky mixture a little bit more will give it that final hold. All right, and now onto the egg whites. So these wraps are gonna have homemade hummus, some minced or ground beef, a little bit of cheese, some spinach, and some sun-dried tomatoes. Finally, we're at the end. The last thing to do is to make some banana puree. I've got some kiwi here. I'll probably do a mix of that and then also just some banana. I've got leftover potato and some carrots that we roasted from earlier. I think I'm gonna make that a pair. And then I have some sweet potato and the big cauliflower. I'll probably use half the cauliflower with the sweet potato that we have left over. I have some of the apple puree, the apples that we made earlier, which are now nice and soft, and we'll make a nice puree. And the roasted pumpkins. I think I'm gonna do a variety of just applesauce and then a mix of pumpkin and applesauce. So let's get making a whole bunch of baby food. We go to church about an hour's drive from our house. I know that seems bizarre, why would we go so far? That's a story for another episode maybe, but we do, and this weekend we have a lot of church commitments out there, and so we're staying with some friends, and I'm going to be making a lot of baby food because our son is now eating solids and a lot of it, so I'm going to be making some baby food ahead that I can freeze, but also some that we can take with. Where we live here in the Pacific Northwest, our winters aren't totally freezing cold with snow all the time, and so we are fortunate that we get to go outside often. Although you can go outside often even if it's snowing, but it's nice for us to go outside because it isn't that cold and there isn't a ton of snow all the time. But we do still do a lot of things inside the house, and so I am in this season doing a lot more baking and cooking, experimenting here in the kitchen, and one of those things is making baby food myself and doing a whole lot of baking projects. Alright, well, thank you for hanging out with me while I make a bunch of baby food and snacks for us for this weekend. This is a lot of food, a lot of time in this kitchen, but it was so fun. Thank you for joining me, and if you like content like this, please stick around, subscribe to this channel. We'd love to have you watch some of our upcoming content. Alright, see you, bye.